Majin Buu, or Fat Buu as a lot of people call him, is probably one of the most misunderstood characters or misunderstood villains in the Dragon Ball series, and we're going to talk about him. My goal was to talk about all of the fighters in the Universe 7 team for the Tournament of Power, and even though Fat Buu is no longer participating, I don't really feel that I need to make one of these about Frieza. I think most people understand Frieza for the most part. He's probably one of the most well-understood villains, so we're going to talk about Fat Buu still, even though he is taking a 2-month nap. He is definitely still worth talking about. The biggest load of bullshit I've ever heard about Fat Buu is that he's not threatening, or that he's not intimidating or imposing at all as a villain. He's just lame because he has a silly design and he's fat and he turns people to candy, and that's too silly for my Dragon Ball Z. And it's like, even though we've had plenty of other extremely silly villains in the series, but no, Fat Buu draws the line because Dragon Ball fans don't understand the series that they're fans of. But I'm just gonna come out and say that that is total bullshit. He's very childish, yes, but that is what makes him so dangerous. And I'm only going to be talking about him from the manga and the original anime and things like that. We're not going to be talking about Super because, let's face it, he's only done 2 things in Super, jack and shit. He really has done practically nothing. Outside of fight Basil and piss off Beerus, Buu has done absolutely nothing in Super. So, at least nothing worth talking about. So, let's go back to him from the Z portion of the series, where he's a villain, he's a bad guy. But is he really? Now, yes, he is a villain, he is an antagonist, he is killing everybody, he kills like the entire population of the planet by the time he becomes Super Buu. However, as Fat Buu, he's just trying to have fun. I think that's the thing that a lot of people miss with Buu's character, is that there is more to him. He's not a complex character, but he's not just like, oh, I want to kill people because I just want to destroy. Like, that's the original Buu. That's Kid Buu. That's the, not a god of destruction, but like a being of destruction, a force of nature that just destroys things. That is the original Majin, the original, Buu. Fat Buu, however, is the one we're talking about, and Fat Buu is different. He is childish, but he only kills because he finds it fun, and it's not in like a, oh, killing is fun specifically. He's literally just trying to have fun, and he was told that killing was a way to have fun. You see what I'm saying? When he meets this blind kid, he's like, why aren't you scared of me? Everyone else is scared of me. And he's like, oh, it's because I can't see. So he fixes this kid's eyes. And it's not because, like, if he was just pure evil, he wouldn't care. He'd just kill the kid. But he wants the kid to be scared of him. He's trying to have fun. He's trying to get his jollies out of this. If the kid's not scared, he's not having fun. So he fixes the eyes. He does something very kind for the kid. He even goes to get the kid milk, which he turns a person into milk, and that's kind of fucked up. That's another thing about Buu that a lot of people just kind of take for granted. It's not just, oh, he can blow up a planet. I mean, every villain can do that. He does something even darker. He turns people into candy and eats them. That's, like, fucked up. And that's fucked up in a dark way, and he does it in such a childish way, which makes it even darker. And I think a lot of people just kind of take that for granted and just say, oh, he's just silly. It's like, no, that's really fucked up when you think about it. But going back to the blind kid, he's just trying to have fun, and he wants the kid to be scared of him, and this comes back with the dog. But it also shows that he's capable of doing nice things. It shows that he's capable of doing very kind things, like healing people, and he doesn't have any problem doing it if it means having fun. And when the dog shows up, and he's injured, and he's like, why isn't this dog running from me? And Mr. Satan's like, that's because he's hurt. He fixes the dog, and the dog's just not scared of him. But he finds the dog fun and interesting, and he doesn't really know why. And Mr. Satan's like, well, maybe you shouldn't kill people. And he's like, all right, then I won't. This is a character, even though it's very basic development and it's nothing super complicated or super intricate, it's a character, it's a villain, it's a villain in Dragon Ball that actively progressed and changed his mindset and just evolved over the course of the arc. And that's never happened before. Vegeta did change and develop, but I feel like that was once he became like an anti-hero. If I'm using the anti-hero term correctly, he was a character that was fighting Cell and fighting the androids, but only for his own gain. He wasn't a hero. None of the characters are really heroes, traditionally speaking, but Vegeta wasn't a full-blown antagonist, a full-blown villain at that point in the series. Majin Buu still was. And it's interesting. I think it's really cool, and he tries to not be evil anymore. When he sees Mr. Satan get shot, when he sees the dog get shot, he heals them, but the evil side of him is still coming out. He is still an evil being that is more mellowed out and balanced from, I forget which Kai he absorbed to become fat, but you know what I'm talking about. That's how he became fat. That's how he became more mellow. And he has to just expel the evil half of himself. And of course he gets a lot weaker from this because he is originally an evil demon, and by expelling the evil part of him, that's where most of the power went. And I'm not even really sure how strong Fat Boo is, actually. He seems he can train him. He got skinny, that was interesting, and then he got fat again. That's in Super. That's another thing he did, was he showed he can, like, I guess get stronger by training, and he can lose weight, which is weird, but whatever. Because, you know, he absorbed a fat character to become Fat Boo, so it's kind of weird that he can then, like, get skinny, but Boo's all kinds of weird shit. I mean, you can get inside of him and be shrunk down, and he can expel half of himself. He's all kinds of weird, fucked up shit. So, yeah. But I think that's something that a lot of people just don't appreciate about Fat Boo is, one, he's dark as fuck as a character. You know, when he's devouring people as candy, his childlike nature is very, very volatile, and it's very unpredictable, and that's also a very scary thought when it comes to a villain that is like as powerful as a Super Saiyan 3 that can heal from pretty much anything, that doesn't really take damage. I mean, a lot of people were like saying, oh, Zamasu's immortal, how are they going to beat him? They fought Boo already. Did everyone forget that shit? Like, Boo is already, like, basically Zamasu, except that you can disintegrate Boo completely. If you do that to Zamasu, he still exists as, like, a part of the universe, as a part, like, as an essence, because of his own immortality. That's the only thing he has over Boo. Boo is, like, already basically Zamasu, except I don't even think Boo could, like, run out of power. Of course, we never really saw Zamasu run out of power either. My point is, you have to take a step back from the childish nature and the design of the character and look at what he does, his actions, his abilities, the things he does. And it's like, okay, no, this is actually a pretty legitimate threat. This is actually very intimidating. I mean, he fucks over Vegeta really hard. He's also very brutal when he fights. He shows no restraint because of that childlike nature, and it is intimidating. It is threatening, and he is a really good villain. And, of course, he turns into Super Boo, and Super Boo's still fine. The only time Boo as a villain really loses me is when he becomes, like, Gotenks absorbed and Gohan absorbed, because he's just generic at that point. Like, he's just kind of like Cell again, but, like, not as interesting as Cell. He's just pretty standard at that point. And then once he becomes Kid Boo again, he becomes a wild card villain. He loses talking, which kind of sucks, but Kid Boo's cool, Super Boo's cool. The Gotenks and Gohan absorbed ones, they're kind of the weak links there. And then you have, of course, Fat Boo, who is who we're talking about here. And yeah, hopefully this made you understand the character a little bit more. I'm not saying you have to like him or anything like that, but I definitely think he's a good villain who actively develops over the course of the arc, which we've never seen before. And he's just kind of cool. I mean, I'm excited to see Frieza in the Tournament of Power. I love Frieza. I prefer Frieza as a villain over Boo, despite all the good things I said about Boo being very unique, being very different, and Frieza does fall into more of a generic category, but I will say Boo is more annoying, especially in the English dub, because of that voice. I've never liked Boo's English voice, and his Japanese voice isn't much better. He can be kind of annoying. I'm not saying Boo's a perfect character. I'm being very objective here. I'm not saying I love him as a villain, but I do really like him, and it would have been nice to see him participate in the Tournament of Power, but I don't mind seeing him replaced. I just hope he does something in this series besides fight Basil, because that's just, maybe the writers just really don't know what to do with his character. He's already developed, so what can you really do with him further? I don't know. I mean, we'll have to see if they're clever enough to do something with him, or if he's just going to be thrown to the wayside all the time. But if that's the case, what's the point of even hyping him up for these tournaments? Both tournaments he could have participated and didn't, and it's like, why even bother? Like, why not just put someone else in and not even just let Boo just be a background character? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how they're going to handle him. They keep teasing using him and then not using him, so I don't know. I really don't with this character, but he got a lot of good development in the original run of the manga, and that's really the important thing. But what do you guys think of Fat Boo? Go ahead and tell me in the comments section below. Give this video a thumbs up and share it on social media. Both those would help me out a lot. Subscribe if you haven't already, or if you like what you've seen here. Click that little bell to get notifications of when my videos go up. I want to thank you guys for watching, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.